Automation and Programmability 6.1. Explain how automation impacts network management. The automation of network operations has been proceeding for over 50 years, from the early days of remote equipment alarms for centralized fault management in the 1970s, through the introduction of service-level monitoring and flow-through automated service provisioning in the 1990s, and the service-level management of the 2010s. This has enabled network operations costs as a fraction of revenue to be reduced continuously, even as the services have become increasingly complex and varied and the customer's expectations for fast service delivery of new, secure, reliable services has increased by several orders of magnitude. 6.2. Compare traditional networks with controller-based networking. In a controller-based network architecture, the controller needs to communicate to the networking devices. In most network drawings and architecture drawings, those network devices typically sit below the controller. Traditional network refers to the old conventional way of networking, which uses fixed and dedicated hardware devices such as routers and switches to control network traffic. 6.3. Describe controller-based and software-defined architectures, overlay, underlay, and fabric. What contains the southbound side of the controller? The fabric, underlay and overlay. Overlay the mechanisms to create VXLAN tunnels between SDA switches, which are then used to transport traffic from one fabric endpoint to another over the fabric. Underlay the network of devices and connections, cables and wireless, to provide IP connectivity to all nodes in the fabric. Fabric, the combination of overlay and underlay, which together provide all features to deliver data across the network with the desired features and attributes. 6.3a. Separation of control plane and data plane. 6.3.b. Northbound and southbound API. Software-defined southbound application program interfaces, SDN. Southbound APIs are used to communicate between the SDN controller and the switches and routers of the network. They can be open source or proprietary. 6.4. Compare traditional campus device management with Cisco DNA Center-enabled device management. Even they are encrypted. This is also a new feature of Cisco DNA Center. The other benefits of Cisco DNA Center over traditional network management systems is by using machine learning artificial intelligence, it prepares you for the future changes, and it keeps your network up to date. 6.5. Describe characteristics of REST-based APIs, CRUD, HTTP verbs, and data encoding. Good REST APIs, 1. Are well documented and reliable. 2. Use HTTP verbs as fielding originally defined. 3. Support XHTTP method override to accommodate picky proxies. 4. Express URLs with nouns rather than verbs. 5. Track version. 6. Make expressive use of HTTP status codes. 7. Handle errors carefully and explicitly. 8. Log activity. 9. Choose wisely between XML, increasingly rare, JSON, and HTOS, rapidly growing. 10. Paginate, filter, and sort results. 11. Limit rates. 12. Explicitly design and other commercially significant API-specific features. 6.6. Recognize the capabilities of configuration management mechanisms. Puppet, Chef, and Ansible. Ansible, it is an automation platform that is capable of deployment of applications, configuration and monitoring management, security management, and automating cloud provisioning and deployment. It works with Python programming language and YAML data format. Ansible is an agentless tool, which means there is no software or agent that needs to be installed on the client machines. Being agentless allows the user to push configuration to one of the network devices on the network. Ansible uses SSH as a remote communication protocol, and it can support Windows remote management as well. It uses push models to get the configurations from network devices. Push model means no agent software on the nodes. We can manage any device by using Ansible. Since it is agentless, any device can be an Ansible controller on the network. Note the configuration files of Ansible, which are written in YAML format, are called Playbook. Chef, it is an open-source configuration management tool that is designed for compliance automation, configuration automation, and management of networks and servers. An agent is required to be installed on network devices that the Chef is managing. Chef's client pulls configurations from the server, and those configurations are in Ruby DSL, domain-specific language. Ruby is the programming configuration language used in Chef. The Chef server is the device that manages all the nodes on the network, while Chef client is the node that the Chef server is managing. Note the collection of codes or files in Chef is called cookbook. Recipe is the code being deployed on making configuration changes, and Chef Workstation is where users interact with the management tools for network configuration and create codes instructions. Puppet, on the other hand, typically uses an agent-based architecture, same as Chef, for managing the network. The tool capabilities also support both agent and agentless architecture. When using agentless architecture, the external agent should be placed in between the node and the controller, Puppet Master, and the external agent will use SSH to communicate with the node network device. The Puppet Master machine is the device that manages all the nodes on the network, while Puppet Agent is the node that the Chef server is managing. Puppet's client pulls configurations from the server, and those configurations are in Puppet DSL. Note the collection of codes or files in Puppet is called module. Manifest is the code being deployed on making configuration changes, and Puppet Console is where users interact with a configuration management tool to create a block of code or instruction. 6.7 Interpret JSON and Encoded Data. JSON, short for JavaScript Object Notation, is an open standard file format or data interchange format that uses human-readable text to transmit data objects consisting of attributes, value pairs, and array data types. Syntax for JSON objects and arrays is given briefly as below. Object, a series of key-value pairs enclosed in a matched pair of curly brackets with an opening left curly bracket and its matching right curly bracket. Array, a series of values, not key-value pairs, enclosed in a matched pair of square brackets with an opening left square bracket and its matching right square bracket. Key-value pairs inside objects. All key-value pairs inside an object conform to the earlier rules for key-value pairs. Values inside arrays. All values conform to the earlier rules for formatting values, for example, double quotes around text, no quotes around numbers,